Back at the very beginning of this channel, the very first video where I was outlining what the challenge was going to be and why I was doing 15 minutes a day, I referenced the fitness industry and how physical trainers will set a goal for new clients of just go to the gym 3 times this week. You can walk in, you can turn around and leave without even touching a weight. Just go 3 times. The strategy there being, if you just go, you are A, establishing a rhythm, and B, you are more likely to actually go and pick up a weight. Like, why go to the gym and not just hop on the treadmill for 5 minutes at least, right? And you get them to start getting into the rhythm. And also, one thing in one of the tutorials we watched from In the Mix, way back at the beginning of the videos, I think this was like on like day 20 or something like that. In one of those tutorials, he mentioned that if you only sit down to create when you feel inspired, you will not have the skills necessary to actually realize your inspiration, to put your inspiration to paper and to actually make it happen, because you haven't been practicing during the uninspired days. And I say all that to say that today was a really encouraging day of realizing that this going to the gym every day I've been doing has been actually paying off. And particularly, like, working with samples is just something that has always been really intimidating to me, because it's not exactly how my brain works. The idea of like bringing in samples and then like processing it and then like rendering audio, putting MIDI to audio always seemed so permanent. It felt so limiting in the way that I could like shape the melodies and stuff like that. If it was an audio file, there was so much less I could do with it. And so I was always afraid to do those things, and I was always bad at like using it, and it kind of stressed me out because I just wouldn't do it enough to realize it's not actually scary, and it's actually very enabling for a creative process. And today was really fun to like pull in more samples, put them in places, put effects on them, and then render them so I could put them in different places and have it be cleaner. All that was really, really fun. We're still just mainly working with this Hunt for the Red October sample, or just a conversation that happened in this movie. And this beginning bit where the Russian captain is telling his first officer to verify the range to target with a ping, and this ping sound we've got up here, to me, sounds kind of like a sonar ping, and so it was this cool effect. I've shown this sample before, but not quite as processed and as stylized as this. This is what it sounds like now.
Verify our range to target. 1 ping only.
Then those are pretty cool, and those really do sound like EDM samples now, rather than just straight ripped movie scene sounds. And there's 2 things that are happening there. 1, the effects that you hear on them, and then 2, I've got an OTT running on it that I think actually does help bring it all together. It helps. It's not necessarily like at full depth, but just like this like hyper compressed sound, it brings up the upwards compression the OTT does. I think really helps make these samples kind of smashed into this one area that is a sound all of our ears know as EDM. But you'll notice that on this particular channel here, there's not actually anything going on, and like this really nice sampled up, process sound of
1 ping only
is already done. That's because I did all that work on this channel where you have the delay, we have the OTT, the delay that was being used over on this side where we heard it go, the 1 ping, ole. Made it all on that channel, bounced it, pulled it down here so we could move it around really easily and not have to deal with automation data and stuff. It makes it so much simpler to like process the sound, get the sound really to a spot that feels really good, and also to normalize the sample and like pull up the ranges there so that then I can have this pulled down to -8 instead of having to push this up to like +3 all the time and not give myself any slider room. This just feels more comfortable pulling it down instead of pushing it up. And then we did similar things over here though with less effects on it, still using OTT. The biggest kind of change we have in this section on this piece right now is that we have actually added, after our build section, the beginning of the next, or the cooldown section, we've added the next build section. We're building back up to the drop again, and in this cooldown section, I wanted something. I want to kind of like take from that conversation, take from that same movie scene. So here we have kind of a conversation that's happening between some of the Americans as they're trying to like figure out what they're going to do with this Russian sub during the Cold War. It's kind of a cool little line here that I think works really well in this section. Take a listen.
All popping, targets coming shallow.
What's that mean?
It means he's a very cool customer in Russia.
knows we're here, we're ready to shoot. He's not going to provoke us. He's heading to periscope depth to see what's on the surface. What's his course now?
Course is 270, Captain. Due west.
Bring us alongside him.
Aye, aye, Captain.
He wants to go up and take a peek. We'll play along.
It's cool, you know. I for some reason this drop in here doesn't feel very good. I think it's that we got a lot more bass going on here than we did before, like because that's the exact same drop we have on this one ping only section here,
One ping only.
where that feels really good. But I think it's because we have this one bass that's holding on through this entire thing, where this sound like makes this section over here actually not feel as good. Where is it, the bass doesn't punch you as well because this is holding it down. So I don't know, maybe we take that out, but probably not. I don't know. I really do like this sound, so I need to find a new way to make that kind of secondary drop here a little bit more punchy. But I love that. I love the atmosphere of this, and I love that this piece is starting to have like an identity that is unique, and it's not something I've never heard someone use these samples, use kind of this idea. I'm sure someone's done submarine drum and bass before. That's probably not unique, but it feels cool. It feels like a special little thing. It does make these samples over here make no sense at all. Sounds great, but has nothing to do with submarines. So we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do about that. I've wanted to replace these since the beginning. The bass download, it just felt like such a basic sample to use, even though it musically I think works really well there. So I might try to like mimic the music of it a little bit, steal some of my musical ideas from that, but iterate on them, make them my own, make some new samples. We might have to like just steal the rhythm of it and do like some spoken word to it with something about sonar or something. That might be something we do. But yeah, the piece is starting to shape up. I'm excited to build this back up, build it through a second drop. I want to make a different drop the second time around, so we're not just stealing the exact same drop here. The build section, maybe not drop. Make a second build in through a different way, and then as the drop happens, yeah, we'll make a second drop, and then the piece will be pretty much done. So we're getting close to having another one here. This one's kind of cool and much better than our first drum and bass. So learning lots of lessons, excited about that. That's all I had time for today. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.